Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're looking at this guy right here. This is the CCA NRA, not the National Rifle Association. It's NRA, it's some kind of new designation I guess they have for this. I am considering it's a 3 magnetic dynamic and electrostatic earphone. Let's look at the specs first before we do anything. We'll start with the specs. We have 15 grams, 3.5 millimeter, it is an L-shaped plug. 0.75 millimeter, it is a TRN. That's the one that looks like the QTC, but it's squarer and a little bit more wider, similar to what Belon has. 20 to 40 kilohertz, 25 ohms, and 103 decibels per milliwatt. Now, it's easy to drive, but it does scale, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's take a look at the accessories. You get this cable, which is very unique for CCA. It's actually one of the best cables they've made so far, although it is a bit annoying because it kind of springs back in the shape. I see two different cables there. You got your little see-through splitter right there. And of course it has the preformed ear hooks, which are a little connector right there, and then it is the L-shaped termination right here. Now it's very interesting because it doesn't tangle as easy because it keeps springing back into shape. It's kind of hard to keep it in a bundle, just noted with that, but even so, it's one of the better cables they've ever made. Looking at the tips, some people may like these. These are kind of mushy. I didn't particularly like I don't like the barrel shape. I don't like the fact that the nozzle is right there at the end. So what I got was the star lines, if you have those lying around, which most people do. I did try the inverted ones. I didn't like them. I like just the regular on these. It does tend to have a very long nozzle. It's a little on the skinny side for nozzles, as most of the modern ones are a lot thicker. And it just kind of a bump, and then it gets a little thinner at the top. With this little lip around it. There's a metal mesh right there. Comfort-wise, let's get into the construction and stuff. Comfort-wise is excellent. Build-wise, very good. You got your metal faceplate. You got your plastic and plastic nozzle. See-through. Looks very pretty, in my opinion. Love the satin kind of aluminum with the stamped logo there. Excellent look-wise. I mean, if I was going to mark this on looks alone, it would definitely be a 9 out of 10 for looks. Fit was superb. Anytime you have this kind of guitar pick shape, it's going to fit most people's ears perfectly. It's kind of a generic for a good ergonomic fit for the average ear. Isolation was just average. It was a little bit better with these tips. The tips that it came with, just average, nothing special. And overall, it gets good marks for build, look, and ergonomic comfort. Accessories are as expected, although this cable was a lot better than I was expecting. Very nice compared to, like your average CCA type cable is this, which I'm going to have to untangle at some point. That's a much needed step up. The tips, some people might actually like those tips. It's just a personal preference thing. Some people like foam, some people like silicone, and, vice versa. So getting that out of the way, let's get into the sound of these, because that's basically what we came here for the review. Now, it should be noted that this is $25 or lower, depending on if it goes on sale or whatever. And so we're not expecting, even though it's electrostatic, it's not exactly like stacks, because that particular technology takes a lot of power to drive. No, this is, more like a magnostatic type thing. And I'm not going to not expect, $1,000 worth of performance out of a $25 IM, but you're not going to expect something horrible out of it either. And if it's horrible, I'm going to let you know. Usually I didn't take the time to review horrible things, but, you deserve to know if something's not good that comes in. With the exception of Bluetooth stuff, I get like a ton of Bluetooth stuff that come in, and some of it is quite good, like the stuff that we did before, and some of it is just gets left for people to take, and I don't even want to see it ever again. Okay, so this is unique. It's a unique take on an IEM from CCA. They've never tried this before, as far as I know, and I think I've had pretty much almost everything they've made, with a few exceptions, like some of the higher and like 24 and stuff like that IEMs. I have not had any of those from KZ or CCA. I don't know why. So let's see. Build quality, good. Fit, good. Comfort, good. Isolation, okay. We'll start with the bottom end. Mid bass. The bass, in general, is good. It's not bad, but it is light. Now, there's more of a mid bass focus here. Now, it has some very good speed to the mid bass. There's a nice punch there. It's not overly impactful, that's for sure. This is definitely not a bass head IM, but the bass, there's enough bass there. It may be bass light, but there's enough bass there and enough detail in the bass and superb control in the bass to allow somebody to have an enjoyable experience. That said, the lows, the mid bass, the really lows. Mid bass is decent, but it tends to, not be the most powerful, but there is a punch there, and it does have some really good, clean detail and speed. Now we get into the sub bass. The sub bass has some rumble, has some punch, but it is light. It does have a fast roll off as well, and it's just not as present as you would expect on most things. That said, I'm going to have to move my notes. So, getting past the bass, we'll just say that the bass is decent. It's light, more mid-bass focus there. Sub-bass just really just doesn't have that deep punch that I particularly like. But I found that the detail and that allowed these to be listened to for a long time without that fatigue that you get if something really rumbles your ear. So that was a good quality of it. Try to look at the positive side of things. If you're a bass head, just, skip this video. You're not going to like these. If you like a more detailed bass that doesn't overpower and is a little on the light side, then this would probably be something that you might be interested in. Now we get into the mids. Vocals are very interesting. They don't have a recession like you would with a V shape. Nor do they have the push forward, which is very popular in most IEMs these days. They just tend to be right there, centered. They have a decent amount of clarity and detail. There is some warmth to the lower mids, whereas there is some brightness to the upper mids. Overall, they seem kind of balanced with a little bit of a neutral kind of feel to them. Female vocals have some kind of tonality that kind of, I don't know, I found off a little bit, but male vocals sounded decent. Their tonality was decent, and it had enough clarity and detail. There's just some kind of unnaturalness to the sound there. I don't know how to describe it better and more simpler. But it wasn't bad, and it didn't impede anything to that point. Just chalk it up to one of the imperfections of this, being that this is $25. I'm not going to hang heavily on that, but still decent. The vocals were decent. The mids themselves were decent. They presented, clean and centered. Treble on this. Now, treble definitely has some detail and clarity there. Maybe not so much as a balanced armature, a BA driver, but enough there. It did show some sparkle, but it didn't overly sparkle. It definitely never reaches a peaky or sharp kind of harshness to it. I think the treble is very decent with these, and a lot of people may like that. It does have a little bit of a brightness to them, and we get into the sound stage. Now, the sound stage is average. It is of a medium width, a medium depth. It's nothing overly emphasized, and it's nothing too intimate. It's kind of just naturally there in your headspace. There was some okay imaging, and there's some nice separation there as well. Overall, this does a lot of things well. Where it doesn't do everything excellent, it does a lot of things well. And I think for a lot of beginners starting this, they may find that this is quite pleasant because it is definitely non-fatiguing. Overall, this scales better with equipment. And I would also like to say that this is very specifically dependent on your source and your recording. Poorly recording things will sound really bad on this. This is very picky. It sounds better with more power pumped into it, but with more volume pumped into it, sometimes the soundstage gets lost in a crowded track, as well as some of the detail and clarity. I did burn these in, and I found there be a lot of improvements after the 50-hour burn-in. That's my opinion. Not necessarily may not be yours. A lot of people think burn-in doesn't do a thing, and in some cases it doesn't. Like amplifiers, I'm not going to burn in an amplifier or a tube amp, but some earphones and headphones do seem to sound better after a little while. I don't understand what that is, because you would think if it's breaking in, then it's going to sound even better in 200 hours, or when it's finally broken and doesn't work anymore. We're not going to get into that. That's for you to decide whether you want to follow the instructions. So there were instructions to burn in for 50 hours. I did it. And I did find a little bit different in the sound quality, whether it's something in my mind or not. Overall, I found these pleasant. Now, if you're looking for a low-cost, pleasant IM that you can listen to for a long time, that doesn't have overly bloated bass, that does everything decently. There's nothing here that it does particularly, superbly, that we can say this is the treble king or this is the mid king. But everything fits together, and when it comes together, you get something that's a decent quality IM for the price, that has kind of a unique sound signature to it. And there will be a market for some people that like these. Will this ever reach my top 10 list of IMs? I'm not sure. I need more time to listen to this, I guess. I've logged in, 2 weeks now with this or something? I put a lot of time into these and the other ones that are behind me, the emeralds. These are really fun sounding, by the way. Which is my preference signature. Now, I try not to force my preference on you. My preference is as followed. I like a V shape, that it sounds very fun, without the bass destroying the mids or anything else like that. I like a nice fun sounding IM. I like the Harman curve. I like something that is balanced. And I like neutral. I do not like flat. I do not like these weird tuning shapes and stuff like that. Those are basically what I like. But that doesn't affect my judgment on something. I'm not, just because I don't like it, I'm not going to not recommend it to you if I think that it does have some kind of merit to it. Because everybody's taste is different. That said, so it's decent quality overall. It's got good comfort, nice build quality, looks good. Sound is interesting. It is, basically kind of a warm, kind of neutralish kind of sounding IM that I think a lot of people might actually really like. I would recommend that this is paired with a warmer source, the tube amp or something like the extra or whatever portable one you're using, like the IDSD signature, something like that. Because it does seem to fare well better than that. And it does like the power bump. You don't have to pump too much into it, obviously. It's easily powered, but it does scale. So that said, it's decent. I think that some people are going to like this, and I think that there are people that are not going to like it at all. But that said, I really do love the way it looks. So this has been the CCA NRA, and yeah, I hope this was informative. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you somewhere out on the internet. Be safe, please.